Hello, and welcome to Stories Across Borders. Here we discuss stories told across a range of different mediums, books, movies, games, you name it. The only rule is that we can only discuss things in terms of the writing. Anything like acting, animation, or mechanics is out unless it relates directly to how the story is being told. I am Daniel Radford, author, unofficial couples counselor, and also your host. And today I am joined not by one, but by two guests. My usual co-conspirator, John Kernan, but also returning guest Marv, who is a writer, streamer, and maker of things. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, love to be here.
Right, so we're going into our second cycle for the season now, and honestly, given how omnipresent this particular theme is in media and, just life, I'm kind of surprised we haven't done this one yet. So, yeah, the cycle theme I'm talking about, of course, being romance, which you have probably figured out from reading the episode's title.
It does help.
Yeah, I mean, that's just assuming all of our damaged throats hold out. Let's get into it, I suppose.
Oops, all sick.
Oops, all sick. Uh,
No, I'm not sick at all. It's just 5:30 in the morning.
Same thing. So, I think a good place to start is to just point out kind of that romance is kind of everywhere in stories.
Yeah. I remember going through a phase where I'm just like getting mad at movies and TV shows where it's like, I don't want a romance. Why does there always have to be a romance? Blah. But before and after that, I'm all about it because it's like hee hee, and I live vicariously through it when you don't have a romance or so it's like nice and it's like hee hee, and yeah, romance is fun.
It's funny you say that because for a very long time, w would have said I don't read or watch anything with romance in it. And then I thought about it and I was like, huh, actually I kind of do because the reality is even if you say you don't watch or read romance-driven stories, you're just lying yourself because even a very large number of like horror or action or adventure stories are
Mm-hmm.
all still centered around a romance or contain prominent romantic subplots. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the kind of thing that has to come crashing down at some point, because that's like sitting there and being like, I never read a story with any sort of mystery or surprises. And like, well, um, you read, so what about any of them?
It's one of those things like you don't think about it necessarily, or a lot of people choose not to think about it because they, oh, I don't know too much over that sort of thing or whatever. But no, it's literally everywhere. It is at the center of superhero movies and comic books. It's at the center of thrillers and of adventure stories and high fantasy and sci-fi. It's
Mhm.
everywhere. And I mean, you do sort of have to stop after a while and go, why?
Because it's popular.
Well, yeah, I mean, the number one reason, which isn't actually on my list, hilariously enough, is just that it's popular. People like it. I know people who will go out of their way to watch media that they maybe wouldn't normally consume, or read a book that they wouldn't normally be that interested in, or watch a show of some other kind, whatever, purely because of a relationship in that piece of media. And I know others who will just, if there isn't an official one, they'll just decide there is.
We love that. Fan fiction.
I am somebody who does absolutely love and nice relationships and stories. I also don't really mind when they're not there though, because like I don't know, I'm almost a bit of a snob about it. I'm sitting over here like I like the good ones.
I mean, you say that though, but you're kind of right. Like for a really long time, I was under the impression that I just hated romantic stories, period.
Mhm.
And it's like, no, there's just
Yeah,
a lot of bad ones.
there's so many bad ones. Oh my God.
Yeah, as it turns out, no, I just don't like bad writing. And for some reason, this genre or this story element, if it's not specifically explicitly a romance story, it's just full of the most, compared to anything else I can think of, is full of so many unbelievable characters and plot lines.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
funny. I would say romance as a genre, and even in most of its subgenres, has a pretty similar success rate to horror in that it's a genre I love that is filled with garbage and has a lot of trash, but like the trash, for me at least, always feels so much worse with romance than it does with horror. And I don't know if it's because of its intrinsic connection to like everyday life and the human experience or what, but it's like all the same stuff that's kind of easy to look past in horror and can either be funny or sometimes twist around to so bad it's good never seems to feel that way with romance. Bad romance is just either gross or uncomfortable or just boring. It's almost never entertaining bad.
yeah. Because like when it comes to writing romance, like the two main characters, they have to have like a good chemistry, and it has to be somewhat believable. Because there are some situations in some stories where it's not that realistic, but it still works for the context of the story. 'Cause that's why it's a fiction. It's not real, but it's like, hey, it's fun to imagine these scenarios. But if characters don't have good chemistry, and it's like the one book I ended up DNFing one book this year. It was a romance book, and the first chapter, the male main character goes from, "Oh, I don't trust that easy, and I don't know you, and whatever, but I'll, help you with your article." Next chapter, he's already being all like a little more loose and hee and all that stuff. I'm like, that you didn't make me wait for it. You didn't make me build anything. They had barely any interactions, and already he's folding. It's like, no, that's not, no, no. You gotta make it work. But it's just like, yeah, it's
I'm so with you on that one because I did finish the book because I did like the story overall. But I
Mhm.
read a book earlier this year that was recommended to me because I sort of did like a swap with someone, as I've done many a time. And there's a lot of other th in really interesting things going on in the story, and also side character relationships that I find so much more believable, interesting. But there's this weird like because the whole thing is like it's a fantasy story where this post parents deadening the princess of this one nation basically is getting semi forced to marry into the royal family of the neighboring nation to avoid, an all-out war. And the sort of central conceit is obviously will they really come to have feelings for each other? And oh, there's this other side character who's been introduced who is really boring, but is clearly just there to be a romantic rival. And I'm sitting there going,
Mm.
I'm so much more invested in the dynamic between the two on opposing sides, the like forced marriage people, and the political intrigue around that and how that affects their interactions with each other, than I am in this incredibly forced love triangle.
The forced love triangles are the worst, especially when, yeah, when the third isn't well developed. It's just, ugh.
And it is entirely the Hunger Games' fault that every YA has this now.
Oh God,
Yeah, that and Twilight, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, don't get me started on I could do an entire episode just breaking down the reasons I hate Twilight.
it still feels so weird to see how nuts the Hunger Games went because I think it might be the only book series I ever read before I knew any of them or before any of them were made into movies. And then the movies popped off. And it's so weird to look back at sometimes, but whatever. I absolutely get what you mean on the romance stuff, though. I think romance might be the only genre and one of the only aspects of storytelling too, where there have been so many times where I don't just think it's bad, but I'm outright sitting there like disagreeing with the author as it happens. Like, oh yeah, this is going on, and this character love each other, and I'm literally sitting there going, no, they don't.
Yeah. You're sitting there, you're screaming at the book or the screen, going, "Why?"
Yeah, that like romance is also definitely a scenario where it's like showing, not telling also really helps. Like it's like, okay, yeah, you could say that, but like what are they doing for each other or how are they reacting to things to show that they have these emotions? If that's not there and well built, then it's just like it's hard to buy into.
I'm very much a believer that show don't tell is the most overrated, overused piece of writing advice that has
Oh,
ever been
same,
given.
same.
It has no nuance to it, and yet people keep parroting it mostly out of self-importance to try and sound smart, and it's
Mhm.
infuriating. But you were so right. This is one of the biggest examples of where even if you do tell, you still have to do the show part because that's the part that makes this interaction, this character relationship believable.
And when it's done right, ooh, is it done right? And it's so good. And it's like there are so many books in where I'll be reading and I'm like, where's the romance? Where's the male main character? I want them to interact now. And I like like speed read through like the whatever many chapters, and he shows up. I'm like, "Yay!" And then they do their thing, and I'm like, yes. So when it's done right, it's done right. You make the yearning and all the stuff. It's just you got to do it right.
It's the whole one of the whole reasons, okay, not the entire reason, but it's one of the reasons that like I look at the people who have these like massively rose-tinted glasses when they look at classic Disney movies.
Ah,
And I'm like,
I'm in the room.
yeah. And I'm looking at and I'm looking and I'm going, these characters have just met. What the hell do you mean they're made for each other and they have this deep relationship? And for one thing, what do they see in each other? Are they attracted purely because neither of them have personalities?
All
Because
right, sir, don't go calling the police on Prince Charming yet, all right? He just thought she looked cute laying in the bed and wanted to wake her up with a nice little kiss. Nothing weird going on here.
hey, I will defend that movie, but we're this is not what we're talking about today. But I will not go in depth of defending that movie, but I will defend that movie. Sleeping Beauty is great.
You're
It's a
like,
great
I'll
movie.
defend that movie a little bit.
It's
Hello.
I feel like it says a lot that when I think about like my some of my favorite Disney romantic pairings that like off the top of the two favorites that pop in off the top of my head, one of them's not even human, so Disney doesn't have like the best track record of romances for me. But because like yeah, honestly, the first two that jump into my head are Jasmine and Aladdin because they're real. I like them, and
Hmm.
it's Simba and Nala because like you know what, that's two lions, but you made me believe it.
Yes. Yes. I
It's
agree.
two it's two lions, but I have never seen such a smoldering gaze between two characters in anything else.
Oh
I was
my
just like, "Oh,
god.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
no,
That
that's love."
That that movie,
that was definitely at least bedroom eyes.
yeah,
Definitely bedroom eyes.
that movie did things to people that it shouldn't have. It awakened something new and strange in a lot of people.
It's okay. Zootopia 2 is coming out soon.
But I mean that's the thing, right? Is that one of the things I'm really glad we are largely doing away with is the whole like, oh, the love at first sight kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
We're becoming a lot more nuanced in our storytelling, even in like kids' movies and things like that, where it's like, no, they thought they were pretty, and then they got to know each other.
Yeah, I'm interested in that too because it's weird. Even though like as a concept, I kind of the romantic fluttery side of me wants to like love at first sight as a concept. In execution, and when I really think about it, I don't because if it's at first sight, how can it be true love? What's true about locking eyes with somebody and instantly loving them?
Definitely lust at first sight can be a thing because
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
for
oh man,
sure.
they looking
Well,
great.
and even like infatuation, admiration,
Yeah.
but like no matter how you look at it, before you have time together and that real connection, you can call it what you want, but it's not love to me.
Yeah. No, for sure. Because it's a stranger. It's like, how can you love a stranger for sure? It's time to like, cook, develop, meet each other, talk to each other. But yeah, the instant love isn't great. Like Frozen's a good example. It's a classic example now, I think, where it's like, yeah, oh, she had like the potential love at first sight, and it's like, oh no, spoilers for Frozen if anybody hasn't seen it yet. It's like, oh
Oh
no,
no,
he
it's
was
been
just
long enough
using
for
her.
Frozen to be a classic. I'm old.
I know, same. And then,
Ugh.
Kristoff was there the whole Kristoff's his name, right? It's been so long. Was
Yeah.
there and he did all this stuff for her. He was supportive and stuff. And then he asked for consent to kiss her at the end, which is so cute. Consent is sexy, people, okay? It's it's cute. And it was great and I loved it. So it's like like it was a cool where it's like it was a twist on the yeah, love at first sight. Oh no, deception. You don't really know him. Don't fall in love and right away, and then be there for people and get to know people first, and then decide to if you want to smoochy smooch.
I appreciate the censorship there, but we all knew what you were going to say.
Well, they smooch at the end. They don't get naked. They smooch.
Yeah, they didn't get naked on screen. Gosh.
No, but I'm sure there's a lot of 34. Is that the rule? Rule 34. I'm
Yeah,
sure there's a lot
yeah.
of that,
Hey,
but
If it
you know what's the best
exists.
way to make sure the cold doesn't bother you?
yeah,
Oh God, yeah. I knew this episode was gonna go places after the X-Men
well,
episode. That was
that's
just
a staple of
pandemonium.
the yeah, the staple of the genre is, it has some sexy times depending, because if it's like an because like there's a difference between romance and then other genre stories with romance subplot.
Yeah,
And so like in normal and like the romance as the main genre, it, can have varying degrees of sexy times, very graphic detail where it's like more erotica and that's where the more focus is, or then there's like okay no then sex is like something that's built up towards and that's kind of like the whatever the plot term I can't climax pun not intended
Ha.
of the story. And
Pun
then there's
very
like
intended.
and then there's types where it's like completely censored. So yeah, sex was bound to pop up, but like I remember my first romance that I unintentionally read. It was in high school and it was in the school library. One of my classmates was reading a Nora Roberts book and then she was like, oh yeah, no, it's pretty great. I'm like, oh cool, let me try. I never read a romance book. And so I picked the first of a trilogy off the shelf. I took it out and then I'm reading it. I'm like, why is it fading? It's not fading to black. It's not fading to black. It's not fading to black. And then it's describing all this stuff. And I'm like, oh no, my innocence has been taken. What is happening? But then I read the next two books. I read the entire trilogy because the story itself was kind of cool. And, I don't know where Nora Roberts sits on a lot of people's scales, but it was up to my standards at the time. So it was all right.
the fact that it was in a school library is hilarious to me.
I know.
Just someone come. I'm just imagining like a friend comes up to you like, "What you're reading? Nothing."
Yeah, it was funny though, because yeah, and I brought it up to my friend. I'm like, "There's sex in here," and she's like, "Yeah," and I'm
You're
like,
like, "Why do you
"What do you
think I'm reading it?"
mean?"
I felt so caught off guard the first time I ran into one of those scenes in a book. And even looking back on it now, I think it's probably just because like it's weird because I've come to realize I really appreciate in a story the knowledge that two characters have a sexual relationship, and I don't think I've ever liked any sex scene ever, even once. And it hits me so much harder with books because at least with like visual stuff, I can just be like, okay, don't look or don't focus or like fast forward a bit and it'll be over. But I can't and don't want to fast forward through a book, and something about all that stuff being described just immediately makes it feel so much more in my face that I'm like, mm.
Well, yeah, because it's like you kind of have two choices when you're writing the scene. Either you fade to black or you don't.
Or you just be very light in your descriptions.
I mean, even if you are light though, like it's like you can't avoid that it's on the page. Either it happens or it doesn't.
I've come to appreciate it a lot especially as somebody who partakes of a lot of anime, which, as we know, has way too, in general, I should say, has way too much fan service, but
Hmm.
also a ton of sexless worlds where everybody's horny, but nobody's getting down. It's actually gotten to the point where just in stories I just appreciate the confirmation that two characters have an actual sexual relationship because just suddenly that's almost enough to make me believe it a lot more. I'm like, oh, okay, these two characters who are supposedly in love and have all these feelings for each other and seem to have sexual attraction actually act on it. It's not some sort of weird taboo thing where it's like, oh yeah, we can do everything else about being in a relationship, but not that. We're proper.
It's funny, there's been a lot of discourse in like the infamous book Twitter circles,
Oh
which
boy, book
I'm
Twitter.
exposed to a lot of on account of being a person who is on Twitter and writes. But I'm not in that genre at all, but the discourse still finds its way to me where people are like, how much of this is too much? How much of it should you put in? Should stories have this? And the answer is yes, no, maybe.
It depends on like, cause on what's the word I'm looking for? Not the genre. It depends on the rating of the book, like who the audience is for. Because I find a lot of books nowadays, young adult books are having some sex scenes that are graphic details, and I'm like, excuse me. Excuse me. What do you mean? You can, I've read young adult books where it's like, oh yeah, no, it alludes to them getting naked and doing things, but it's not an graphic detail. But it's like, it's because of, yeah, like you were saying, book Twitter and also book talk. I was in there for a while. It's a lot of social media and things these days. It's like they're really trying to mass produce things and trying to get as many people. They're trying to be more clickbaity when it comes to stuff. So yeah, it's causing a blending of audiences and what usually comes from each rating of the different from the different ratings of books, and it's causing things like that to happen where it's like that's what's causing more discourse, because it's like, yeah, it's like, oh no, you were reading a young adult book and that's like graphic thingies. There's like, you should be reading an adult rated book or a new adult, which doesn't really exist anymore. But it's causing that to blend because more people want to read more of whatever, and it's yeah, not cool.
Somebody should really tell those people that nothing is less digestible than sex scenes, so you really have to have a strong, compelling reason to have one and a commitment to making it like as good as possible and literally only existing as much as it has a reason to, because anything else and you're either going to make people stumble through it or turn away from it.
My thought on it as well is like because there's a lot of this is like this idea of should it be in should books include like explicit material or whatever. I'm like, I mean, yeah, if they want to.
Sure.
My question is, I mean, Marv brings up a really good point about who your target audience is, but I'm also asking the question in my mind of what does it add? Why are you including it? Like, if the entire purpose of your book is to be titillating, go nuts. But if you're trying to tell a more complex story about like a dynamic, is this a part of the dynamic? And like, what is it contributing is my question. Because I have no problem with this sort of thing existing. I don't even mind if you are sprinkling in a little bit of fan service to your book or your comic or your show or whatever within reason. But if the purpose isn't that, it shouldn't take up a ridiculously large part of your page count or something, That's kind of where I'm sitting. And it doesn't have to be a part of a relationship either. Like it's
No,
there shouldn't be an expectation that it is going to be a part of a relationship between two characters because it takes all sorts.
no, for sure. But like, it can be like a staple. It's a staple of the genre, and so depending on, because like when it comes, because like I've delved into learning how to write a romance. I'm kind of writing a romance. It's really hard, but depending on where you want your end goal to be for like if your first book or whatnot, depends like your again the climax, like the main thing about they're going towards of the story, the plot, depending on, because like the romance itself is the plot, it's the story, it's the long thing. So depending on where you want it to go, if you want it to be, oh, I want to build up to their first kiss, I want to build it up to, yeah, them getting down and dirty. Oh, I want to build it up to them getting married. It depends on, where you want to hit on that, and then how descriptive you want to go. Again, it should be dependent on, yeah, for sure, like what it adds to the story, because like just like any story element, like how much would it add, but it depends on like what kind of genre and age group you're hitting on, because like if it's erotica, because I've read a few of those, it's just like, oh, right out the gate, it's a lot of that, and that's what you're there for. You're there for a good time, you're there to read it, you're to, doing your own thing. And if it's just like quote unquote standard romance, then yeah, can be varying degrees of spiciness, as it's called these days. um Crap, what was my point here? Oh yeah, the reason for it. And so I guess it depends on, yeah, like you were saying, what you're going for, and what the end goal of the relationship is, and if these types of people do want to have sex, because we're also speaking under a lens of, so far, of heteronormative straight people, cis, and sexually active. So that to preface this, because there's other types of romance stories where
So
those
many.
aren't particular. I unfortunately have not read that many, and it is a sin. I have so many on my TBR, but most of my stuff I've ingested has been heteronormative.
I mean, that's because most of the media is, because it's just what the majority of people is. Plus, there's the whole history of whitewashing and oppression and all that shit to keep in mind. But I think that's the thing with me when it comes to like that stuff in general, right? Is I don't like when certain like steps in the relationship are like treated as the end goal of the
Yeah.
story, and that is portrayed as like, oh, this person that these two characters fucked, story's over, we made it to the end. This is the big important thing, because it's like, is it though? Like it can
That's
be
what
Yeah.
an
I was
important
about to
moment.
say. Yeah. I hate that, and I also hate when the relationship itself is the end goal. Like, all right, they're together now. Bye
Yes.
everybody. And I'm like, but that's literally the least important part of the entire
I'm
relationship.
I'm more okay with that, because then the story, it becomes like, how do we get to the point where these two characters have a thing? That it's nice when you get something where you can explore the end of it, but the reason they do that is because stories do need a place to end.
I like it when it's the ending to a story if it's not what the entire story was about. But what I hate is when the relationship was its own point. Like the point of the relationship was that there was a relationship, and then we can be done afterwards, because I think it takes my brain to the same place as entirely off screen, so to speak, relationships, which I also usually hate. Like, for instance, when at the end of like a season of a show or something, two characters get together, and then there's been some time between the two seasons, and then in the next one they're already broken up, and it's like, wait,
Yeah, what happened
Yeah.
there?
wait, we didn't do it. I'm sorry, we didn't tell any of that part. Hold on.
Yeah, no, I hate that too, because it seems like the main thing when it comes to romance is that like everyone's more interested into how they get to the point of getting together, and then okay, cool, that's it, because like the thrill lies in the getting them together. But it's like, well, what about after? What about, like, there is now an established relationship. I want more established relationship romances, because like there's like so many books that I've read the first of a series. I'm like, oh my god, I love this couple, I can't wait to read the next one. It's like, nope, it's another couple, and they may be in the background, they may interact with the other couple, but they're just there and they're living their own lives. I'm like, but I want them. I want to follow them. I don't want these new Joe Schmo and Janie Waney. I want the original people.
I think, honestly, a big part of why that sort of thing happens, where you will get like a writer will put two characters together, and then either they will be inexplicably split up in the next book or the next season or the next movie or whatever, or they will then have one of those characters fade into the background and become so important that even though they're still together, there's not part of the story, or they shift focus or whatever. The reason they do that is, I think, personally, in my own mind, the writer isn't comfortable writing that relationship, whether it is purely because it makes them literally uncomfortable to do so, or if it's because they just don't know. what to do with that to make it still interesting. So they just sort of go, and I won't.
Or could it be the
And so
echo?
I didn't.
Or
Yeah.
could it be the echo of the sentiment that your life ends when you get married?
As somebody who just got married recently, boy howdy is that annoying. I've
Yeah, like oh ball and chain. It's like, oh, your last hurrah before you get married.
Even though I know almost all of them meant it as a joke, I ran into multiple people, especially at work, who were just like, "Oh man, you're married," and then basically the Zuko, "That's rough, buddy," gif, and I'm like, N "No, I wanted to. It's actually like the thing I've been most excited about in my entire life, and it's kind
Yeah.
of supposed to be that also. So like, I don't what."
Yeah, like I love the person I'm with and I like them as a person and I'm choosing to be with them. It's 2025. We
Like,
can
I'm sorry, am I in a black and white TV land sitcom? What's happening? Is
yeah.
this the am I a honeymooner? What are we doing?
Yeah, because like that's one great like critique that I've seen was like, yeah, like once you get married, oh, it's it's not as exciting for people to read anymore. They want unmarried people and what or people who've been divorced getting back together, or, just like they just don't show like it's like people don't know how to write happily married people, and it's like but yeah,
People got to do it better. You know who's my favorite character in Full Metal Alchemist? Brigadier General Maze Hughes.
I mean, he's everyone's favorite
That
character.
man loves being married and having a kid.
It's his
I
entire
mean, and I
personality,
love him.
basically. But
I mean, the best part is it's not his entire personality because he's written that way. It's his entire personality because if he was a real person, it would still be his entire personality. He's somebody who had a life, had his personality, and then once he fell in love, decided to make that his life and his personality because that's how in love he is.
yeah, that's good writing. But I mean, you touched on something I think both do in different ways. That I think is important to note is that there is a kind of a semi good reason why people avoid writing happy relationships, and that's because stories thrive on conflict.
hmm
And I will admit it's kind of phoning it in to go, oh, they're in a happy relationship. There's no conflict there any now. There's no more drama. People aren't going to eat that up. It's like, well, I mean, try harder if you want to.
right? Like I want to see the romance and wooing after they get to that point because it's like the life doesn't end. The romance is supposed to be should still be there. There's more after the happily ever after.
There's like, cohabitation. There's potentially children. There's outside forces trying to get in the way. There's the dramas that come up that you don't think about, like, oh shit, there's like a mortgage now or rent, and there's juggling jobs and communicate, like people, like the stuff is there if you want to go and look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because a relationship is not just a lens, but it's a great, both a multiplier, but I would also say almost a mutual modifier in that it gives you so much to play around with because the relationship itself is open to being affected by everything else that's going on in the story, but also vice versa, especially when it's between your two main characters. There's so much to do with it, like. I mean, man, when I think about funny enough, as good an example as it is, despite the fact that it's a long, storied, fractured, like bit of a thing, Superman and Lois Lane,
Yes.
that is like a really, really strong example of a relationship where the relationship is not the entire point, but also it's executed really well, and I couldn't imagine the story without it. Literally everything about it would be different and he would be a completely different person without it.
And it adds to the story as well as the thing, because it adds stakes, because she is now in danger as well as a vulnerability to him, and he is trying to juggle so much as well as that. There's actually a show, right? I think it is just like Superman and Lois Lane or something, right? It's a like live action show that is
Lois
all
and Clark.
about
Lois and
Lois
Clark.
and Clark. Maybe, yeah, he's like retired, right? And is trying to live a life and bring up like kids, but there's still all this baggage and stuff, and then they're getting powers and he's juggling that. And I keep seeing clips from it, and I'm like, wow, that actually seems like a really interesting thing to explore. I'm glad that exists. I'm kind of maybe we'll go and watch it one day just because I'm curious. But you gave such a good example for all those reasons, and that's the thing. A romance is a really good tool for a writer because it can add stakes, it can deepen and change and character dynamics and just make character interactions more dynamic. It can be a source for drama or conflict in so many different ways. It is a very multifaceted, useful tool in your arsenal as a writer, and yet so many people refuse to use it to its fullest potential and just keep churning out the same story over and over and over and over again that we've all seen play out 50 million different times.
Gotta hit all the tropes. Gotta list all your tropes. Gotta do it. Gotta just take it, all the tropes.
I do think, like, more than anything else, romance stories, or it's just stories that are built largely around those relationships, do seem to treat tropes as a checklist.
Yeah, especially in today's day and age, because that's how, that's how they market books now, especially like a book talk. It's like, oh, you gotta have your one bed at the end, you gotta have your enemies to lovers, even though it's never truly enemies to lovers. It's usually rivals. I hate when people say enemies to lovers. Pride and Prejudice is not an enemies to lovers story. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Um,
so many of them are rivals to lovers, and don't get me wrong, I like rivals to
oh,
lovers,
sure.
but they're two very different
Two
things.
very different
Like
things.
enemies to lovers is like
I want to kill
to make a
you.
very to make a very lazy and fun example, the fact that Goku and Vegeta can't go a week without fighting each other or they just don't feel right. Like
Yeah.
they were actual enemies. They almost
Yeah.
killed each other and the entire planet.
That is what enemies to lovers is. And it's like everybody's trying to boil everything down into tropes. It's like it's not tropes. It's nuance. It's more than that. It's not just but it's everyone's like that's how we have to market it. So we gotta label it as this. And it's like, but that's
And
not
it's
what they
like,
are.
well, if it's so nuanced, then how come I can name all these tropes and they're all true? Like, how come I can just say these things about your story?
Tropes aren't inherently bad, is the thing.
No.
They
No.
exist for a reason. A trope is just a trend that has developed because a lot of people started writing stories that included these things because audiences and writers both like it. The problem is when you start looking at tropes and treating them as a list of things you have to tick off, because
Which
that's when you
yeah,
get formulaic, dull storytelling.
for sure. That's
Although
definitely
tropes are a little bit like gremlins in that the more of them you get together, the less cute and fun they are.
exactly. Yeah, because if you're just like, oh yeah, the checklist, it becomes a little boring and unpredictable. Sometimes you want a little boring and unpredictable. I know there's a couple of stories I've read where I'm just like, you know what? This conflict that is supposed to be a conflict is not, but I'm eating up their interactions and they're cute, so whatever. But it's like, yeah, if you're gonna take a lot of literature and just boil it down to that to describe something, because like, yeah, someone's like, oh, how would you describe this book? And they're like, oh, it's a friends to lovers story and this and this and this and this, and it's just like,
If
okay,
if
what's the
all you can
plot?
say, yeah, exactly. It's like if all you can tell me about the story is the trope it is, that is immediately a sign to me that I don't want to read that book or watch that
Yeah,
movie.
Yeah, if you're only a small part of the way through the story and a bunch of things flash in your head that might happen, and then you're just kind of right about all of them, that's not a good sign. Like, if you're sitting there going like, "Oh, I just kind of figured it all out right away, huh?" Well,
To be fair, tropes do exist for a reason, and it is harder than it has ever been before to surprise an audience because media literacy has never been higher. We have centuries upon centuries of storytelling that we still have access to this day to build our understanding of how stories are. Doing something truly original and unpredictable is very difficult now. So it's not inherently a mark against a story if you can guess where it's going to go, but it is a mark against the story if you can go, it is literally just this trope, and I can tell you every step of this journey is going to take along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with writing myself, because like I said, I am trying to write a romance story, and like I have gone back and forth so much with like, okay, do I feed in to the, this usual stereotypes in of today of, right, of the things that are expected from a romance, or do I do more of what I want? And I'm like, you know what, I'm doing the slowest fucking burn that I'm doing. It's gonna be 4 quote unquote books. If they're not going to get together right at the end, sure, maybe they'll accept a date or whatever, but there's going to be other stuff happening too.
How
But
much of
it's
that have
like,
you written? And do you want to come back in a couple weeks and do an episode on that? Because I'm dreading the fact that in 3 more episodes, or the third episode after this, I've got to write one of these things, and I have never done that before.
if I decide to kick in for November, because like rip NaNoWriMo, but I haven't been writing at all this month, but I am working on the second draft of it, and it is. I've only got a few chapters of it done to the second draft. Maybe I'll come. I could swing it, but it's fun and hard. But I'm also forcing myself to write the kind of story that I want. I'm not doing the, oh, they're in their early 20s. Oh, this, that, and the other. When it comes to like their interactions, they don't look like every other main male and female character couple that have been churning out. It's like, no, they're gonna be in their 30s. They're gonna look, not
Like
white. They're
ordinary,
gonna
Oh, you
and they'll
mean
be
you mean
normal,
they're not
ordinary
like other
people, and
couples?
they're not like other
Hashtag not
couples.
like other couples.
But I'm basically trying to write a story in which I would want to read that isn't just the same old stuff, and it's not going to be a one single book romance and move on to the next people. I'm like, no, I want to build them up. I want them to be the next Morticia and Gomez. I would be
I,
remiss if I
I
didn't
was
mention those
just
two. We need
I
to talk
was
about
just
them.
thinking about them.
Oh, you
That
mean
was a great
the
segue.
literal perfect couple? Like,
Yes,
I love them so
they
much.
are they are relationship goals.
Like if you're looking for a template to not necessarily copy, but to like use as inspiration for what a healthy relationship and what a well-written relationship between two characters looks like, seriously, go pick any version of the Addams Family.
Yeah, post marriage and post kids, and they still like grab at each other and love each other and support each other. Like, come on.
And everything is so perfectly set up to sharpen it too, because like this is literally about a family of freaks and weirdos who do things like blow each other up with bombs and fence with real swords first thing in the morning. Like, I'm not gonna say the whole thing, although they are creepy and kooky. But and despite that, every single moment those two spend together just screams how in love they are.
And it feels
They have
legit. Like
they have infinity pet names for each other. They want to spend all their time
Yeah.
together. They love their kids so much, and yet I don't want to decrease the love for their kids by putting it this way, but you almost feel like half of their love for their kids is a product of how much they love each other and the fact that they
Yeah.
made those kids together.
Yeah. Like they're, yeah, because like, and when you even, I remember like reading something where it's like, when you look at the time that the Addams Family first came out, it came out during a time where, yeah, there weren't a lot of happy
it was
marriages, a lot of
subversive.
yeah, and a lot of on-screen couples were always fighting and all this stuff. They're like, you know what, they're gonna be kooky and different in the fact that they're happy to be married and actually love each other. And it was, yeah, it was different and subversive at the time, because yeah, they actually loved and supported each other and were happy and healthy. And there isn't a lot of that. And there kind of isn't a lot of that now either, but it's more,
In media, though, there definitely wasn't
oh,
a
in
thing back
media.
then. Their happy relationship was almost counterculture when it was conceived.
That's actually a perfect jumping point. For one thing, I really did want to make sure we talked about in this episode, and they are the perfect counterpoint to this because for how massive a genre this is, and for how much it should reflect real life, it doesn't in so many ways. And one of those biggest
Hmm.
ways is that so many, like romance stories or subplots, take your pick, reinforce toxic behavior and bad stereotypes and
Yep.
unhealthy and unrealistic standards. It's
Oh yeah.
wild. I genuinely think like romance in media has done so much damage over the years to people's expectations and understanding of what love is and should be.
Yeah, it has because it's too fictitious. Too many fictional relationships were all just either idealized like nonsense or written by people who wanted to put romance in their story but apparently have never had a real relationship because like it's it's bad and it's happened so consistently that when I think about it, it seems like most of my favorite fictional relationships are like the main factor is how much do I believe it? How much am I like, oh, like they're actually in love. I believe them. It's hard, and I think that's kind of part of why I do appreciate slow burns, like Marv was mentioning, because we only just talked about it on recently on the podcast, but one of my favorite romances, possibly my favorite, is Spice and Wolf. Spoilers, it's a romance, and let me tell you, it goes. It simultaneously lets it be a slow burn and doesn't. Minor spoiler warning right now. They genuinely don't all the way end up together and make it an official relationship, get married or whatever until the end of the story. But they also, both as characters, admit and make it clear how they feel about each other. I would say like 20% of the way through the story, maybe at most, if you're being generous and not taking any of the flirting or grand gestures from the first couple stories seriously.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like that is a healthy example of two people who are ex they're not rushing into things. They're exploring their where they stand with each other. They don't take any bullshit from each other. Whereas
No,
so much of like the genre and subplots too, it's like, oh, look at this. It's so true and deep and wonderful. This is a stalker.
Yeah.
Like obsessive behavior is not a positive sign, but so many like romantic stories and subplots take genuinely concerning levels of obsession and go, that's the ideal. And then people read those stories, and I'm not even just talking about kids who grow up just believing this sort of bullshit. Grown-ass people will then read these stories and internalize these ideals and then either reenact them or go looking for them, and it doesn't end well.
you saying I can't spit game just because I watched True Blood?
Yeah, I do want to mention the dark romance girlies. If you're listening to this, don't you are valid and loving your dark romance. Nobody's saying that, but we're trying to talk a little more nuance about it. But I want to but there can be some people who can't discern and like you said, will think of it as the ideal. Because I want to bring up the Wade fucking Wilson thing that happened because of all the dark romance girlies were like, oh my god, this convict who killed several women, he looks so hot, oh my god. And it's just like he murdered women. He
Did you say
murdered
his
women.
name was Wade Wilson?
Yes, his name was Wade. I believe his name is Wade Wilson.
They literally call him the
The same
Deadpool
name
killer.
as
Yeah.
Deadpool?
Yes, yep.
Oh
And
my
everyone's
God.
like, oh my, he hit TikTok like during like a couple years ago, and all the dark romance girls were like, oh my god, yes. And it's like he's getting the death penalty for murdering women. He would kill you. Like, what the heck? This is not sexy or cool.
Yeah, no, that's a really messed up impulse, and it's so easy to see too, because like I've looked at a lot of them. Let's not forget how many people liked Jeffrey Dahmer
It's crazy
and
how
some of the other
many how
ones.
many people are like contacting killers in prison and becoming like obsessive and infatuated with them. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's so easy to look at it and be like, no, you have a serious problem because not only should what's going on with all that be a turn off, not a turn on, but besides that, like you can almost always instantly look at them and be like, no, there's nothing else here, especially somebody who's already in prison. Like, I'm sorry, what attracts you to this person? Can you actually name anything besides the fact that they are apparently a freak who did bad things or that they are popular and people are talking about them. Because, like, to go back to Jeffrey Dahmer for a second, I look at that guy and I'm like, he's not even good looking. Like,
The documentaries
at
Yeah.
aren't
all.
helping.
He
No. Zac Efron.
he has nothing going on.
No,
He's just a psychopath, and for some reason, some people are like, "You say psychopath, I say psycho daddy," and I'm like,
Yeah. It's
"Fall in a well."
no, it's like you can like what you like in your fiction, in your romances, and that's fine. There's definitely some things in romances where I'm like, that's a red flag in real life, but I know this is safe because
yeah,
this is fiction and different. But like you were saying, not a lot of people can discern that for being realistic or not expectations. Because like speaking from experience, I grew up on Disney. I grew up on all these romance stuffs and like the fictional and what they fed you as a kid. I thought that was real, and that led me to be in a relationship that was not great my first time around, and I got out of it, thank goodness, but it was not great. And so then because then I learned more that, oh, that wasn't how it's supposed to be. Speaking as somebody who is autistic and on ADHD undiagnosed their entire life, some people can't discern if it's right or not, and that's what you get, and it's not great. I'm not saying everybody's experience is that was my personal experience, but it's not great. They should have some examples where it's more healthy and more realistic.
I think everyone, literally everyone who is in any way inclined to be in relationships has had more or less that experience where they've gone into something and either they or their partner have had completely unrealistic expectations for what it's supposed to be that have been
Mm-hmm.
heavily influenced by popular culture, and
Yeah,
especially when you're younger and it's all
for
new,
sure.
or older and it's all new, whatever the case is for you. But you mentioned as well, like dark romance and things like that, right? And the thing about that is that whole subgenre, the whole point is that it's not healthy.
No, and then but then this, and then again, to bring to social media and TikTok, there's so many people that take dark romance and it's being crossed with erotic horror, because there was a recent book that came out where um the premise was this woman was in a coma and the male main character was her doctor, and I'll let you go from
Oh
there.
no,
And
there's a
yeah,
movie that's like that actually, like a
yeah, and it's
rom-com
just
as
like
well. Like,
it's like,
oh,
yeah, this is not dark romance. This is erotic horror, which is fine and valid. Both genres are valid, but it's again crossing the lines of genre and where things, should lie. And it's just like that's horrifying. I don't find that romantic at all. That's sure you may be into that and cool, but again, it's more erotic horror than it is dark romance, and it was the whole thing.
there's nothing wrong with these things, which are obviously very bad in real life,
Very bad in
existing
real life.
in fiction. Well, I mean, it's a sliding scale, isn't it? There's what you just described, and then there's the little too clingy. But there's nothing wrong with having these things exist in fiction. It's just that especially in this day and age where so much media is consumed by so many people, and that it gets stuck in your head that that's what things are supposed to look like. I think it's important that there is more counterpoints to that existing healthy relationships and narratives as well, but also that the stories that do explore these dark, unhealthy themes maybe acknowledge that they are dark and unhealthy.
Yeah, maybe have consequences for the bad people doing the bad things, or the consequences for the stupid people doing the stupid things with bad people.
I think like a really good example of that sort of thing is like Nosferatu and certain versions of Dracula, because the whole
I
point
would
of
let him burn the world for me. That's all I'm gonna say.
which one?
um
Because if it's Castlevania Dracula, I'm with you, but
I don't know. I just remember there's this TikTok and some guy read this thing and was just like, I would burn the world for you. And this whole thing about being a villain and a hero would leave you and everything. And I'm like, yes, take me. Take me. Take me.
Well, then yeah, Castlevania Dracula's for you because
he literally does it.
that's his entire thing. He literally does it, including his campaign starting with a massive rain of fire.
Well, the Castlevania TV show is literally on my to watch list because of his interactions with his love interest. And I'm like, yes, burn the world for me. Do it.
You, you need to watch it. It's so good because not only is that great, but Castlevania has three different, well realized, and great romances in it that are all parallel, all happen, and all central to the story. And then Nocturne has two more
Sick.
because Nocturne is also great.
I need to finish that. I've only seen the first season, but yeah, like I was on a whole tangent. Right, yeah, like the whole Nosferatu thing. The whole point of that story is that it is that the obsessive nature of it all and the like dangerous side of that is leading to destruction, and it does.
Which is fair.
We love when themes are theming.
We
We
love when
do
themes
love
are
it when
theming.
themes are theming. Yeah,
I remember that used to be our catchphrase for a while. It's
just
just italics
theme.
and spaced out theming.
It kind of did give away to us just like yelling into the mic these days of no one cares about your plot if they don't care about your characters, which is a side note, very true for this strong.
Oh,
Oh
it's
yeah,
especially true for romance.
because they
Romance
are the
isn't just a
plot.
genre that lives and dies on the characters. The characters are the genre. They are the thing.
Anyway, I think we can probably leave that there, to be honest. Like, I think really, especially knowing who we all are, we could probably continue going on this for another like 8 to 12 hours, but we probably shouldn't, especially because Marv will die.
I might. It's only 7. It's only 8:30 in the morning for me. My day's just getting
Yeah.
started. I need my voice.
Yeah, audience, you all the coughs and throat clearing and stuff are going to be edited out for you, but I'm sitting here going, one of us may perish if we don't stop soon, so we're going
I've
to do
been
that.
muting. I've been muting. I've been trying.
Listen, you know what? It wouldn't be the first time that a visionary died for their art.
No, I haven't even produced anything yet. No.
I mean,
You're
that's not
producing
entirely
something
true,
right
and
now,
we're
and you're
going
gonna
to get
keep
to that.
producing it.
Yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you have, you can find these episodes on my website, radfordwrites.com, as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Podbean, etc., etc. On said site, you can also do things like find various blogs and articles, short stories, poetry, things like that. You can catch Epilogue, my serialized mini-series thing I do, and you can also buy my books, which I would really appreciate you doing. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Do
Uh,
it.
You should. They're good. Support an author. Get a good book.
especially if
Fair
it's me.
trade-off. And I have no vested interest at all in saying yes, do that. Support that book.
And yes, you can of course find John streaming as Cephia on YouTube and Twitch, as well as being a regular contributor to my various projects. And you can find Marv also on YouTube and Twitch, I believe, as Marv_Missy, right?
Yeah.
Doing also various forms of streaming. And also you can find things that Marv writes, because I will continue telling people to read Secrets in Slumber because it's really, really good. I need to get back into reading it. I just haven't had the time.
It's all good. Arc 2, I might start finally writing it the beginning of next year, but I've been on long hiatus. But yeah, the first entire arc is up, all 36 chapters.
Let's go. And of course, I would love to have you back for more episodes of this at some point as well. And
Yeah.
good. That is an extra win.
Three-way episodes are always fun. I'm gonna try to drag Ghoulie into more of them too, because I really enjoyed the last time we did that.
Yeah, but yeah, until then, goodbye.
Toodles!
Bye.